Swimrun pre-race briefing for the 2026 Bellingham Swimrun on Sunday, June 28th. We are excited to have you join us for another beautiful edition of the Bellingham Swimrun. This is going to give you all the info you need so you're ready for race day. First off, let's take a moment to just thank all the volunteers that are going to help make this thing a possibility. We can't do this race without them, so be sure to thank them. If you have friends or know anyone that might be interested in volunteering, we could still use some more help. So you can send them to the website. There's a volunteer section. They can just click on volunteer sign up. And there's multiple different roles from registration and aid station to safety boater and course sweep that they can sign up for. The course for race day is an open course, so there will be other users out there. This is the start-finish area, and you can see it's a popular place for people to be enjoying the sun and enjoying beautiful Lake Padden. So please be respectful to not only people out sunbathing, but people who are fishing. There may be horseback riders, paddlers out there, and plenty of other trail users. So be respectful and kind to all those folks. Typically, when they see you coming, running in a wetsuit, they'll get out of your way, but give them a little shout, give them thanks, say howdy, and we'll have a great day out there on the course. For those of you who've done this race before, this is nothing new. There is a New Zealand mud snail, that is an invasive mud snail that is found in Lake Padden. It won't hurt you. The big thing is that we don't want to spread it to other places. So to ensure that, at the very end of the race, there'll be 2 buckets that will have a mixture of vinegar and water. And so you just step in the buckets, then you'll take your shoes and socks off, throw them in a garbage bag that we'll provide for you, and from there you can take them, and to make sure everything's good and taken care of, you can freeze them if you feel so inspired. The vinegar should take care of it, but if you want to make double sure that your shoes won't spread these invasive little buggers, just go ahead and freeze them for 24 hours and you'll be good to go. Equipment wise, if you have a swim cap, bring one. We have some as well. We will provide you jerseys. This is all the mandatory equipment. You need to have a whistle with you in case you get in trouble out there. You'll obviously need shoes and goggles. And then for solo racers, either a rest tube or some sort of swim buoy that you have attached to you throughout the race in case you run into any trouble. For tandem racers, your teammate is that safety buoy. Recommended stuff: wetsuit. It will be fairly warm looking at the weather forecast, but wetsuits are always recommended. A pool buoy to go between your legs to float your legs, greatly recommended. And then for teams, I highly recommend a tether. I know it's a little weird if you haven't done it before, but it is definitely the most efficient way to get through this course as a team. Where are we going to be? This is the kind of swim beach area at the west entrance to Lake Padden Park. So it's right off Samish Way and Wilkins Street. There's an entrance there. There's a bathroom and showers that you can see here on the map. And we will be just to the east of those bathrooms and showers, kind of in this area right here, right about where that red arrow is pointing. So that'll be race at headquarters. That is going to be the start and the finish of the race. There's a number of parking spots in this area here. If this fills up, you can keep moving to the west. There's some tennis courts over here, and then there's even some more overflow beyond that if you're having trouble finding parking. Registration and the start. So for getting checked in, when you do, you'll get a timing chip, your race bib. We're actually going to do some hats this year as our race handout. Registration will open at 7:30 for the long course and 9:15 a.m. for the short course. The long course race start time is 9 a.m. The short course race start time is 11 a.m. So that'll kind of give you an overall time frame. Course closes at 12:30 p.m. Course markings that you'll see out there. Mostly what you'll see is these little orange pin flags. There is going to be one section of trail, and it will be well marked, where you're actually going to be following these blue pin flags, and I'll show you where that is going to be on the course. But it's an area where the trail kind of doubles back on itself, and so just to limit confusion, you'll actually switch colors briefly, and so your second time through that area, you're going in the opposite direction. You'll be following blue pin flags at that point. For corners and intersections, you'll have these kind of pink arrows. And then all swim exits will be marked with the large buoys that you see here, these big triangular buoys. that are very easy to pick out from anywhere on the lake. So diving into the courses themselves, we're going to start with the short course. Total on the short course is about 3.5 miles of running and 1,150 yards of swimming, and it's 3 different swims. So we will hop over to the map so we can zoom in on here. All right. So again, this is the start-finish area, west entrance to Lake Padden. Here's the swim beach restrooms. Here's those tennis courts I was talking about, and there's more parking all through here, and then there's an overflow parking lot up in this area here. So the short course, again, starts at 11 a.m., and you're going to start running in a westerly direction on the grass before hopping onto the main Lake Padden trail that loops around the park. This run, you can see the profile of it down below here. Generally flat, there's one little climb, one steep descent, and then a climb back up to the lake. This first run is for the short course is about 0.6 of a mile, only about 40 feet of elevation gain and loss. But you're going to run along. As you come to kind of the western edge of the lake, you'll take kind of a right and then 2 immediate lefts, bringing you on this gradual climb. So this kind of lines up right in this area here. You'll climb up to this high point, making a hard right, and then you dive down on a steep little techie section that goes down to the Padden Gorge Trail. This is another crushed gravel trail. Once you get to the Gorge Trail, you're going to take a hard left, running back up towards the lake. Once you get to the lake, you'll take a left, running along the main lake trail. And then there's a couple trees here where you will hop into a little kind of rocky beach that will put you into your very first swim. So swim 1 is 325 yards, and this swim goes from kind of northwest to kind of in a southeasterly direction. This is a steep kind of rocky exit out of this first swim. So work as teams and kind of like help each other get out of this little spot. Once you get here for for run 2, you will slide this down a little bit. So run 2, you're kind of on a little social trail coming out of the lake. It's a steep little climb right here, and then you hit the main lake trail. Again, this is the big crushed gravel trail. So you're going to follow that, you're going to take a right-hand turn. It drops down a little bit, and then you start going up and then down, and you run back down almost to where you came out of the Padden Gorge Trail, and you're going to take a hard left onto these horse trails. So this is going to be a hard left-hand turn onto a pretty steep little single-track trail with some roots. Initially not too bad, and then it's a fairly steep climb to get up to the kind of south ridge here. Once you get up to the ridge at the top, there'll be a left-hand turn, and you're going to make your way along this ridge in kind of a downhill direction, and then there'll be a right-hand turn as the kind of logging road cuts left. You stay to the right, and this is a really beautiful section through some big trees. Coming back down, and then this is the section coming up here where the trail, you can see your next run, so run 3 for you, is going in the opposite direction. And so on your first time through, so run 2, it's going to be all orange, and then on your way back, you'll be following those blue arrows. So you make this left-hand turn, come back to the main gravel Padden loop trail. You're going to take a left, run along the trail, and then you're going to take a right onto a little social path, and this is going to bring you down to the rope swing. And so this is a fairly steep entrance. Again, that second run, I didn't give you the numbers on that, just about 1.15 miles. It's got almost 200 feet of elevation gain. So there's a fair amount of up and down in that fairly short run. You'll get down here, and what you're going to see at this section is there's going to be some arrows that point to the right that say short course swim, and there's going to be some arrows pointing straight ahead that say long course. So this is one of the spots where the long course and the short course go different directions. So make sure that you're following your signs for the race that you're in. So in this case, the short course, and you're going to hop into swim number 2. Swim number 2 is about 380 yards, maybe a little less. Basically, you just kind of come along the shore. There's a little bay in here, so you kind of just cut across the bay, hitting the point, and then wrap around this point, kind of at the base of here. There's another little beach exit. So after that 325 or 380 yard swim, you'll hop out of the water, and this is your last main run. It's also your longest run. And so run 3 here, you can see is about 2.8K, or just about 1.8 miles, with another 236 feet of elevation gain and loss. And so again, this is the section, this is all going to be blue to start with. So when you get out of the water, you're going to be following those blue course markers. They're going to come out the little social trail. You'll hit the main loop trail around Padden, following those blue markers. And then this is the place where, again, you already ran through going the opposite direction. You're going to stay on the blue markers all the way through the part here where it doubles back on itself. And then once you're up in this area here, you will switch back over to the orange markers, and it'll be well signed as to what happens there. You can see on this profile here that this section, it's a really just steady climb up for the first third of this run. You're just basically going uphill. There's some muddy sections in there, some really beautiful big old trees. Once you kind of crest out here, it's a fairly steep downhill, and so you're going to start coming down, and this is going to be a change from years past, where we're actually going to take you over on this little trail to the right. It's a really cool little single track section. It only adds like maybe a tenth of a mile to the overall run, but it's a really beautiful little section. So you'll take this right, you're going to come along here, you'll hit another trail, take a left, continuing downhill. Once you get back to the main trail that goes around the lake, the big crushed gravel trail, you'll take a hard right, cross a little bridge, and take an immediate left. So now you're on that big crushed gravel trail heading around the lake. You're going to come through past the playground, just staying on that main trail. You're going to keep running along, and then you're going to go past the boat launch, and not too far past the boat launch, you will take a left-hand turn, and this will get you in the water for your last swim. And so swim 3 is actually your longest swim of the day at about 440 yards. And so you're going to shoot across here, and there's going to be 2 different buoys over here. There's going to be one a little bit further out and one a little closer in, and you just want to split right between the buoys. This will bring you right into the beach, and then it's only about 50 yards or so for that very last run to the finish line. So that is the short course. Next up, we're going to dive into the long course option. All right, so the long course, I have changed the order up of things. So it is similar trails, mostly trails and swims that you've done before last year, but I have changed up the order in them. And so make note of that. Total, there's about 8 miles of running, about 2 miles of swimming. There's 6 different swims. You will have aid station access because you can kind of through the start finish area 2 different times throughout the race. So after swim number 2, which is this one here, and after swim number 4, you'll come through the start finish area where there will be aid station supplies. So load up on those. And similar to the short course, there'll be this section that you all share that has the blue pin flags that you'll be following. Okay, so let's take a look at what's happening with this course. All right, so we'll dive in here. I'm going to take out some of the later swims and runs just for ease of viewing. Let's take out that one. All right, this way we can focus on the first little bit of this race. All right, so the long course starts in the opposite direction of the short course. So you're actually going to start out heading in an easterly direction. This first run is basically a flat run on that main gravel path. It's about a third of a mile, just over. That's going to take you along the shore to the boat launch. And this is where the order of things is a little different this year. So this first swim is actually going to be one of your longest at about 780 yards. And this swim is going to go from the boat launch down to the picnic area. And again, this will be marked by a buoy as your swim exit. Once you get to the picnic area and the playground, you're going to get out of the water. And it's kind of a steep exit out of the water. It can be a little muddy. Go across the grass briefly, and then you're going to hop on the main gravel path. You're taking a right-hand turn. From here, you hop into run 2. Now this is the long run for the long course distance. And so you can see here, it's basically 6K, so like 3.7 miles. It has about 660 feet of elevation gain. So you start out running on this trail here. You actually go into these upper trails are official dog off leash trails. So you may see dogs out there, again, maybe bikes, all sorts of other trail users out there. Initially it starts out nice and flat, as you can see here on the profile. But then fairly quickly you start gaining some elevation. You get a little bit of flat after you cross the power lines. And then you kind of start going up in earnest on this section here. And so it basically just keeps climbing, and you'll get up to the high point right in this area here. And then from there, it's down these switchbacks. Now, last year, the trail went in the opposite direction through here, so you're going the opposite way that we did last year. And last year, this was towards the end of the race. Now it's essentially your first real run. Going to come down through the switchbacks, taking basically any left that you can to stay along the perimeter. You're going to swing along this trail, again coming back under the power lines, and then you get a little flat here, and then you get this nice little climb, just to remind you that there's still some hills. And so you'll be climbing up kind of through this little valley. Again, really cool, big old growth trees. Climb up and over this little knoll, and then it's a steep little descent going back down into this little drainage. Short little climb out of there, and then a descent back down to the main lake trail. And this section here is an area that you'll see on your last run as well. But in this case, you come down, you're going to hit the main loop trail around Lake Padden, and you're going to just continue heading west along that trail. So you're basically just going to keep going straight. And you can see this section of trail is relatively flat. There's a couple little ups and downs, but nothing big. And so we're going to run along here, and we're going to come on a little social path to what I call the suit beach. One of the first times I ever went there, there was a guy in a suit standing there. And then that puts us into swim number 2. And so swim number 2 goes from this beach back to the start finish area. And this is where there's going to be 2 different buoys. And so you just want to split right between the 2 buoys is where you're headed to. So you'll get a chance here to hit the aid station. And then you're going to head out on run 3. Now run 3 is the same as run 1 for the short course. The only difference is you'll kind of hop up on the trail rather than going through the start-finish corral. So you'll hop on the trail, coming by the bathrooms, run down along the lake, cutting away from the lake, short little climb up. Here's the profile for those that like profiles. Climbing up here, and then a short steep drop down to the Padden Gorge Trail. Coming up the gorge, taking a left once you get to the lake, and coming back to a little kind of rocky beach here. And again, that run is about 0.7 of a mile. From here, your next swim is that 325-yard swim that's going to shoot you across to this kind of steep, rocky exit. Once you get to that exit, run 4 is the same as run 2 for the short course. And so run 4, you're going to climb up the steep little exit, hit the main loop trail around Padden, taking a right onto that, head back down almost to the bridge. Just before it, you'll take the left, climbing onto the horse trails. And again, you can see this is a really steep little section that climbs you up to this ridge line. Once you're on the ridge, you basically kind of take rights here for a little bit, coming along, and then this is that section where you're going to backtrack in a moment on run 5. Sorry, run 6. And this will be where you'll see the blue and the orange pin flags. So you're going to stay on the orange pin flags, hitting the main loop trail, taking a left, taking the short social trail down to the rope swing. From here, it's a swim back to the start-finish area. Swim 4 here for you all is about 425 yards, bringing you back to the start-finish area and aid station again. At this point, you will hop onto run 5. And so run 5 is a short run that goes along the main loop trail. And this is an area where you're, at the end of the day, you're going to be coming back the other way into here. Let's just turn that on. And so you'll kind of cross over. You'll go just past where you're going to get in the water for the very last swim. And this will be well signed, so just make sure you follow the arrows in the direction that you're headed. From here, you're going to hop into the water for swim number 5. Swim number 5 is one of your longer swims at about 720 yards. It's going to cut across to the same beach that swim 2 started from, but you're going in the opposite direction. Once you get to that beach, your last real run here, run 6, hits the main loop trail, runs uphill, and this is the same run as run 3 for the short course. But you gain about 230 feet of elevation gain and loss on this one. And so you'll come out, you're going to run up. This is the section. You're going to get out of the water. It's going to be blue markers. So blue course markers through here. And then once you get to about here, it will switch back to orange course markers. You're going to come down the trail. And as with the short course, we changed it up a little bit this year, where you're going to cut over to the right on this cool little single track, dropping down to this little section that you would have already ran through, only for 150, 200 yards or so. Once you hit the main loop trail, you're going to take a right, immediate left, running along the shoreline, going past where you exit from swim 1. And you can see this section of the trail is all really nice and flat, just along the lake. Nice gravel trail, bringing you down past the boat launch, getting into the water for swim 6. Swim 6 is, again, about 420 yards, 425 yards right in there. And so swim 6 is going to bring you back to the finish, going between those 2 different buoys and then right into the finish. All right, so that's the breakdown on the course. Please let me know if you have any questions. If you have people who are interested in volunteering, also send them my way. Again, with that long course, it's a solid day. There's a lot of elevation, a lot up and down. It's all on trail, so be ready for what is out there. So in short, let's get ready to swim one. Excited to see you all on Sunday, June 28th. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you then.